The crystal champagne flute shattered in my hand as Mark's words echoed through our marble-floored living room. Madeline was just a placeholder, sweetheart. We both know that. He wrapped his arm around Clara's waist, and my world imploded. I'm Madeline, and 10 minutes ago I was celebrating my 10th wedding anniversary. Now I'm watching my husband announce to our gathered friends and family that he's leaving me for his own daughter's best friend. Dad, stop it! Clara, Mark's daughter, pushed through the stunned crowd. This isn't how we planned to tell her. Planned. They had planned this. Blood trickled down my palm, but I barely felt it. My mind flashed back to the classroom where I'd spent 7 years teaching before Mark convinced me to give it up. You don't need to work anymore, he'd said. Let me take care of you. Lucia, my best friend, appeared at my side with a napkin. Let me see that hand, she whispered, but I pulled away. How long? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. The party guests grew silent, hungry for drama. Mark's smile never wavered. Does it matter? Clara and I have found something real, something beyond this arrangement. Arrangement? I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign. Is that what you call our marriage? Oh, come on, Madeline. Clara stepped forward, her designer dress probably worth more than my annual teaching salary had been. We all know you married Dad for his money. At least I actually love him. The room spun. My mother's voice echoed in my head. Teaching isn't just about lessons, honey. It's about dignity, about standing up for what's right. Actually, I straightened my spine. I married your father because I loved him. My mistake, clearly. William, our mutual friend and business associate, moved toward me. Mark, this is inappropriate. It's her anniversary party, for God's sake. It's fine, I said, though nothing was fine. I appreciate everyone coming tonight, but I think the party's over. As guests began filing out, throwing pitying glances my way, Lucia stayed close. You're bleeding, she insisted. You know what's funny? I said, loud enough for Mark to hear. I was going to tell you about the tutoring app tonight, the one you called a waste of time. William's team finished the beta testing yesterday. Mark's head snapped up. What tutoring app? The one I've been developing for the past year, the one you were too busy to hear about. I turned to Clara. Congratulations, he's all yours. But remember, sweetheart, if he did this to me, he can do it to you. Don't be bitter, Madeline, Mark called after me as I headed for the stairs. It doesn't suit you. We'll have the lawyers draw up generous terms. I stopped mid-step. You know what doesn't suit me, Mark? Pretending to be the trophy wife you wanted while you dismissed everything I cared about. Remember when I tried to talk to you about expanding educational access through technology? You said, leave the business to people who understand it. Because you were a teacher, he scoffed. What do teachers know about business? Lucia grabbed my arm, probably sensing I was about to throw something. Come on, Mad. Let's get that hand cleaned up. In my ensuite bathroom, as Lucia carefully picked glass from my palm, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I barely recognized myself in the expensive dress and carefully styled hair. What would my mother think if she could see me now? I should have known, I said, wincing as Lucia applied antiseptic. The late nights, the secret phone calls. I was so stupid. Stop that, Lucia snapped. You trusted your husband. That makes him the stupid one, not you. A knock at the bedroom door made us both jump. It was Ramona, my old teaching mentor. She'd retired last year but had insisted on coming tonight. Madeline, can I come in? It's open, I called. Ramona entered, her face tight with concern. I just heard. That man is a fool. I gave up everything for him, I whispered. My career, my independence. No, Ramona said firmly. You put those things on hold. There's a difference. Tell me about this app. Despite everything, I felt a spark of excitement. It's a platform that connects underprivileged students with qualified teachers for free online tutoring. I've been working on it in secret, using my event planning contacts to find investors. And William's involved? Lucia asked, finishing with the bandage. He's our primary investor. We launch next month. I laughed bitterly. Mark never even noticed the meetings. He was probably too busy with Clara. Ramona took my uninjured hand. Your mother would be so proud of you, continuing her legacy of making education accessible to everyone. Downstairs, I could hear Mark and Clara arguing with the remaining guests. The sound of breaking glass suggested someone had dropped a champagne bottle. "What are you going to do?" Lucia asked quietly. I touched the bandage on my palm, feeling the sting beneath it. "I'm going to teach them both a lesson they'll never forget." 3 days after my world exploded, I found myself sitting in my old classroom. The school was empty for summer break, but Principal Thompson had always let me keep a key. The familiar scent of chalk and old books wrapped around me like a comfort blanket. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Mark. I deleted it without reading, just like the others. "I thought I'd find you here." Lucia's voice came from the doorway. "You're not answering your phone." "I'm thinking," I said, running my fingers along the worn desk surface where I'd spent years helping students find their potential. "You're hiding," she corrected, pulling up a student chair. "Have you even been back to the house?" "Why should I? Mark's lawyers already sent the divorce papers to my email. Apparently, I need to vacate the premises within 30 days. I tried to keep the bitterness from my voice and failed. "You're not seriously going to let them push you out like that?" Before I could answer, the click of heels echoed down the hallway. Clara appeared in the doorway, looking less polished than usual. "We need to talk," she announced. Lucia stood up, but I waved her back down. "Whatever you have to say, you can say it in front of my friend." Clara's perfectly made-up face tightened. "Fine. Dad wants you to sign the papers and leave quietly. He's prepared to be generous." "Generous?" I laughed. Like he was generous in announcing his affair at our anniversary party? "That wasn't the plan," Clara insisted, perching on a desk. "He was drunk. Things got out of hand." "Things got out of hand," I repeated. "Is that what you tell yourself to justify sleeping with your friend's father?" Clara's face flushed. "Look, I know you're hurt, but this doesn't have to get ugly. Dad's offering you the beach house and a significant settlement." "The beach house?" I stood up, anger finally breaking through my numbness. "I don't want his houses or his money. I want—" "What?" Clara challenged. "Him? Because that's not happening. We're in love." Lucia made a disgusted sound. "You're delusional if you think this ends well for you." "Nobody asked you," Clara snapped. She turned back to me. "Just sign the papers and step down gracefully. Don't embarrass yourself by fighting this." I walked to the whiteboard and picked up a marker. The familiar feel of it in my hand centered me. "You know what I used to teach my students, Clara? That actions have consequences." "Is that a threat?" "No, it's a lesson." I turned to face her. "One you and your father seem to have forgotten." "Whatever." Clara stood up, smoothing her skirt. "Dad said you'd be difficult. That's why he had the board remove you from the charity foundation this morning." The marker snapped in my hand. The foundation had been my project for the past 5 years, bringing educational resources to underfunded schools. "He can't do that," Lucia protested. "He already did." Clara's smile was pure venom. "Face it, Madeline. You're just the teacher he married for arm candy. Time to go back to grading papers." After she left, Lucia exploded. "That entitled little brat. How dare she—" "She's right," I interrupted quietly. "What? Mad? No, listen." I walked to my old desk and opened my laptop. I've been sitting here remembering who I was before Mark. I was good at this, Lucia. I changed lives in this classroom. And now? I pulled up the beta version of my tutoring app. Now I'm going to change even more lives. And in the process, I smiled, remembering all the confidential documents Mark had carelessly left lying around over the years, thinking I was too simple to understand them. In the process, I'm going to teach them both exactly what happens when you underestimate a teacher. I started typing an email to William. Mark thinks he took everything from me. He has no idea what I'm about to take from him. Lucia leaned forward, reading over my shoulder. "Holy shit, Mad. Are you sure about this?" "Remember Tommy Martinez?" I asked, still typing. "The kid who couldn't read in 6th grade? Everyone had given up on him, called him stupid, disruptive. But I saw what he needed, just a different approach to learning. By the end of the year, he was reading at grade level." "What's your point?" I hit send on the email. "My point is that sometimes the most satisfying lessons are teaching people who think they're beyond learning." My phone buzzed with William's immediate response. "Meeting set for tomorrow. Investors are interested." "Mark always said I didn't understand business," I said, packing up my laptop. Time to show him exactly how much I learned while playing the quiet trophy wife. Lucia grinned. What do you need from me? First, I need you to help me move my things out of the house. Not because they told me to, but because I choose to. I stood up, taking one last look around the classroom. Then I need you to help me plan the biggest lesson of my career. And what lesson is that? I smiled, thinking of Mark and Clara's smug faces. That karma is just education by another name. Your husband's company has serious vulnerabilities, William said, sliding a folder across the conference table. And his daughter's new project, it's built on sand. I opened the folder, scanning the documents inside. 1 week had passed since my confrontation with Clara in my old classroom, and I'd been busy. Tell me more about this project of hers. She's launching a luxury lifestyle brand, William explained, looking amused, using Mark's connections and your old charity foundation's contact list. My contact list? The paper crinkled under my tightening grip. She's calling it elite education, private tutoring for the ultra-wealthy, combined with luxury experiences. He shrugged. Basically, everything your app stands against. The irony wasn't lost on me. And Mark's funding it? Every penny. He's so desperate to prove she's a business genius, he's overlooking basic due diligence. My phone buzzed. A text from Clara. Need your help with something? Can we meet? Speaking of Clara, I showed William the message. Looks like someone's having second thoughts. Be careful, he warned. It could be a trap. Or an opportunity. I typed a quick reply, agreeing to meet her at a local cafe. Either way, I need to see what she wants. An hour later, I sat across from Clara, watching her stir her untouched latte. Gone was the confident woman who'd confronted me in my classroom. She looked worried. I need your contacts, she blurted out, from the foundation. Excuse me? Look, I know things are weird between us, but you built amazing relationships with those donors. My project needs that kind of network. I took a slow sip of my coffee. So, you want to use my connections to build a business that goes against everything those donors believed in? It's not like that, she protested. Elite education will provide opportunities. For the rich to get richer, I finished, while my app provides free education to anyone who needs it. Clara's eyes narrowed. Dad said your app would never work. The market's too saturated. Is that what he thinks? I pulled out my tablet and opened a presentation. Want to see what your father missed while he was busy underestimating me? She leaned forward despite herself. I flipped through slides showing user engagement data, partnership agreements, and projected growth charts. This is impressive, she admitted reluctantly. It's more than impressive. It's revolutionary. I closed the tablet. But you didn't come here to discuss my app. You came because you're in trouble. Color flooded her cheeks. I'm not. Your investors are asking questions you can't answer. Your business plan has holes, and Mark's too proud to admit he might have backed the wrong horse. How did you? She stopped, realization dawning. William told you. William's not the only one talking. I leaned forward. Here's what I'm willing to offer. I'll help you restructure your business plan, make it actually viable. In exchange, you'll stop using my foundation's contacts. Why would you help me, after everything? Because unlike you and your father, I actually care about education. I stood up. Think about it. But don't take too long. My offer expires in 24 hours. Back at my new apartment, I found Ramona waiting. My former mentor took one look at my face and said, "You're plotting something." Clara took the bait, I confirmed, dropping onto my couch. She'll be back. And then what? Ramona asked. You help her destroy her own company? No. I pulled up my app's interface on my laptop. I help her build something real, something that will ultimately become part of my platform. Ramona's eyes widened. You're going to absorb her company? Eventually. Once she realizes her father's approval isn't worth sacrificing her integrity for. I showed her the message I'd just received from Clara. I'll do it. When can we start? You're taking a big risk, Ramona cautioned. What if she tells Mark? She won't. Her pride won't let her admit she needs my help. I sent Clara a meeting invitation. Besides, Mark's too busy trying to shore up his own company's weaknesses to notice what his daughter's doing. Speaking of which, Ramona pulled out her own tablet. My contacts in the education technology sector are very interested in your app. We could launch globally within months. I smiled, thinking of Mark's dismissive attitudes toward my little project. Perfect timing. Clara's about to give us insider access to exactly the market we need to target. You're not just teaching them a lesson, Ramona realized. You're building an empire. I'm doing what I've always done, I corrected her. I'm helping people learn. Some lessons just cost more than others. My phone buzzed again, Clara accepting the meeting invitation. Below it was another deleted message from Mark, probably another attempt to pressure me into signing the divorce papers. Let the real education begin, I murmured, setting up the pieces for my next move. Your entire business model is backwards, I told Clara, circling another flaw in her proposal. We sat in my temporary office, surrounded by whiteboards covered in flowcharts and market analysis. 2 weeks had passed since she'd accepted my help. What do you mean? She frowned, leaning forward. Dad's consultants tell him what he wants to hear. I stood up, uncapping a marker. Look at your target demographic. You're aiming for the top 1%, right? Obviously. That's where the money is. Wrong. I drew a pyramid on the whiteboard. That's where the egos are. The real money is in volume and accessibility. Clara's phone buzzed. Probably Mark again. She ignored it, which was happening more frequently lately. But luxury brands are dying, I interrupted. Ask yourself, what happens when you run out of rich kids whose parents want to brag about private tutoring? She bit her lip, considering. So, what's your suggestion? Pivot. Keep the premium tier, but add layers. I sketched out a new structure. Make it aspirational, not exclusionary. Like your app, she said slowly. Exactly. Speaking of which, I pulled up my latest user statistics. We just hit 1 million downloads. Clara's eyes widened. In 2 weeks? Turns out people want education more than they want status. I watched her process this. Want to know our profit margins? Before she could answer, William burst into the office. Madeline, we have a situation. What's wrong? He glanced at Clara, hesitating. It's fine, I said. She should hear this. Mark's company just lost their biggest client. They're claiming financial mismanagement. Clara jumped up. What? That's impossible. Dad would never. Unless, I interrupted quietly. He was too distracted to notice some irregularities in the accounts. What irregularities? Clara demanded. I pulled up a file on my laptop. These transactions, for instance. All authorized by your father, all questionable. Clara's face went pale as she read. These dates. This was when you were planning to humiliate me at my anniversary party? Yes, I noticed that too. William cleared his throat. The board is calling for an audit. Dad will fix it, Clara insisted, but her voice wavered. He always fixes everything. Not this time, I said gently. This time he's going to learn what happens when you take your eyes off what matters. Clara's phone buzzed again. This time she looked at it, and her face crumpled. He's calling an emergency meeting. I have to go. After she left, William turned to me. You're playing a dangerous game, Madeline. No, I corrected him. I'm teaching a valuable lesson. How's the takeover plan progressing? Our investors are ready. Once Mark's company starts to crumble, which it will, I smiled, thanks to those irregularities you helped me uncover. You know he'll figure it out eventually. By then it'll be too late. I checked my watch. The board meeting starts in an hour. Want to bet how long it takes them to suspend him? My phone lit up with a text from Lucia. Mark just stormed into his office looking like hell. What did you do? I showed William the message. Shall we grab coffee and watch the show? From the cafe across the street, we had a perfect view of Mark's office building. Within 2 hours, we watched him storm out, his face red with rage. Right on schedule, William murmured. My phone rang. Clara. Hello? What did you do? She demanded, her voice shaking. The board just suspended Dad pending investigation. I didn't do anything, I said truthfully. Your father did this to himself, just like he did everything else. They're saying he might face criminal charges. Actions have consequences, Clara. Remember? A long pause. Then, I need to see you. Tonight. There's something you should know. After I hung up, William raised an eyebrow. Think she'll tell you about the offshore accounts? The ones Mark set up to hide money from me in the divorce? I smiled. Probably. She's starting to realize her father isn't the man she thought he was. And you're going to help her see the light? No. I watched Mark's car screech out of the parking garage. I'm going to help her see the truth. Sometimes that's the hardest lesson of all. My phone buzzed with another message, this time from Ramona. Global launch is ready. Should we proceed? I thought about Mark's face when he realized his company was crumbling, about Clara's growing understanding of her father's true nature, about my app ready to revolutionize education access worldwide. Yes, I typed back. It's time for the final exam. William raised his coffee cup in a toast. To karma? I shook my head, thinking of all my former students who'd overcome seemingly impossible odds. To education, the great equalizer. He's been lying to everyone. Clara's voice cracked as she paced my apartment. The offshore accounts, the fake clients, all of it. And I helped him hide it. I poured her another glass of wine. 3 weeks had passed since Mark's suspension, and his empire was crumbling faster than anyone expected. Well, almost anyone. Did you know? She demanded suddenly. When you married him, did you know what kind of man he was? No, I answered honestly. I thought he was brilliant, driven. I mistook his manipulation for charisma. Like I did. She collapsed onto my couch. God, I'm such an idiot. I threw away my best friend, my reputation, everything. For what? To be Daddy's perfect little princess? My phone buzzed with a news alert. Wade Financial under federal investigation. CEO faces potential charges. Clara's phone lit up simultaneously. That'll be Dad, she said, not moving to answer it. He's been calling nonstop, trying to convince me to sign documents saying I knew nothing about the accounts. Will you? I don't know. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. What would you do? Before I could answer, someone pounded on my door. Madeline, open this door right now. Clara jumped. Dad? I walked calmly to the door, opening it to find Mark looking decidedly less polished than usual. His tie was loose, his eyes wild. Where is she? He demanded, pushing past me. Right here. Clara stood up. Stop making a scene. Making a scene? He laughed hysterically. The feds are crawling through our accounts, the board has suspended me, and you're having wine with my wife? Soon-to-be ex-wife, I corrected smoothly. The papers are ready whenever you are. He spun toward me. You did this somehow. Did what, Mark? Cook your books? Create fake clients? Hide money offshore? I picked up my tablet. No, that was all you. Dad, Clara's voice shook. Is it true? About the charity foundation money? Mark's face went pale. Who told you about that? I did, I said. Show her the transfer records, Mark. Show her how you used my foundation's donations to fund your personal projects. It wasn't like that, he shouted. I was going to pay it back. With what? Clara demanded. The money from my company? The one you convinced me would work despite having no real business plan? I was trying to help you succeed. No, she said quietly. You were trying to hurt Madeline, and you used me to do it. My phone buzzed again. William. Board meeting in 30 minutes. Final vote on removal. You need to go, Mark, I said. I believe you have a meeting to attend. He stepped toward me, finger pointed. This isn't over. I'll figure out how you did this. How I did what? I interrupted. Force you to commit fraud? Make you cheat on your wife? Convince you to manipulate your daughter? I moved closer. Face it, Mark. You did this to yourself. Clara, he turned to his daughter. Come on, we're leaving. She didn't move. No. What? I said no. She straightened her spine. I'm staying here. Madeline's helping me salvage what's left of my company. Your company? He laughed bitterly. Your company is nothing without my money. Actually, I pulled up some documents on my tablet. Her company is doing quite well since she restructured, unlike yours. Mark's phone started ringing. He glanced at it, swore, and headed for the door. This isn't over, he repeated. Yes, it is, Clara called after him. I'm testifying for the prosecution, Dad. The door slammed so hard my windows rattled. After a long silence, Clara whispered, Did I just do that? You did. I sat beside her. Are you okay? No. She wiped her eyes. But I will be. What happens now? Now? I showed her my tablet, open to my app's interface. Now we complete your company's integration into our platform. By this time next week, Elite Education will be a subsidiary of Global Learning Access. Your app, she managed a weak smile, the one Dad said would never work. The one that just hit 10 million users, I confirmed. Want to help me make it 20? Why are you helping me? She asked suddenly. After what I did. Because good teachers don't just help the students who make it easy. I squeezed her hand. They help the ones who need it most. My phone buzzed one final time. A news alert. Breaking, Wade Financial CEO removed by board vote. Clara read it over my shoulder and took a deep breath. Teach me, she said. Teach me everything you know about building something real. I smiled, thinking of all my former students who'd found their way after losing their path. Lesson 1. Real success isn't about winning. It's about learning from your mistakes. What's lesson 2? Lesson 2 is about karma, I said, opening my laptop. But I think your father's taking care of that one for us. The numbers don't lie. William announced to the packed conference room. Global Learning Access has exceeded all projections. We're looking at a valuation of over $2 billion. I sat at the head of the table, watching faces light up around me. 1 month had passed since Mark's removal, and everything had changed. Clara sat to my right, taking notes on her tablet. And Elite Education's integration? Someone asked. Clara straightened. Our premium tutoring service has increased platform engagement by 47%. It turns out wealthy parents are more willing to pay when they know their money helps fund free education for others. Unlike some other educational initiatives we know, Lucia muttered from my left, just loud enough for me to hear. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark's lawyer. Client willing to settle. No contest divorce. Requesting meeting. Speaking of other initiatives, William continued, Wade Financial's collapse has created a unique opportunity. Their educational investment portfolio is up for sale. At pennies on the dollar, I added, looking up from my phone, which means we can acquire. The conference room door burst open. Mark stood there looking haunted and disheveled. We need to talk. Security moved forward, but I held up my hand. It's okay. I turned to the room. Take 15, everyone. As people filed out, Clara stayed seated. I'm not leaving you alone with him. Mark's eyes flickered to his daughter. Clara, please. Save it, she snapped. I spent 6 hours with federal investigators yesterday, Dad. 6 hours. I studied Mark's face, the dark circles under his eyes, the stubble on his chin. What do you want? To make a deal. He dropped a folder on the table. I'll sign whatever you want. Just help me fix this. Fix what exactly? I opened the folder. Inside were divorce papers already signed. Your company, your reputation, your relationship with your daughter. All of it. He slumped into a chair. You won, okay? You destroyed everything I built. No, Clara said quietly. You did that yourself. I taught you everything you know about business. He shot back. You taught me how to lie, she corrected. Madeline taught me how to build something real. I closed the folder. Why are you really here, Mark? He deflated. The feds found the foundation money. They're talking prison time. And you want me to help? I laughed. Why would I do that? Because you're a teacher, he said desperately. You believe in second chances. Before I could respond, William returned with 2 federal agents. Sorry to interrupt, but these gentlemen have some questions about certain financial transactions. Mark went pale. You didn't? Actually, I did. I stood up. Remember when you said I didn't understand business? Turns out I understand it well enough to document every illegal transaction you made using my foundation's accounts. You'll never prove— She doesn't have to, Clara interrupted, pulling out a USB drive. I already gave them everything they need. Mark stared at his daughter in disbelief. You betrayed me? No, Dad. I chose to do the right thing. There's a difference. As the agents led Mark away, William turned to me. That was quite a show. Think he finally learned his lesson? The hard way, I said, watching through the window as Mark was escorted to a waiting car. But sometimes that's the only way it sticks. Clara touched my arm. Thank you. For everything. Don't thank me yet, I smiled. We still have work to do. Your father's educational investment portfolio isn't going to restructure itself. About that, William pulled out his tablet. Ramona called. She's lined up another 20 partners for the global expansion. We're looking at potential reach of 50 million users by year's end. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Wade Financial CEO arrested on federal charges. Education Foundation at center of investigation. Clara read it and took a deep breath. What now? Now? I reopened my laptop, showing the latest user engagement statistics. Now we do what teachers do best. We take something broken and build something better. And my father? Will have plenty of time to think about his choices. I pulled up our new organizational chart. Meanwhile, how do you feel about heading our premium services division? For real this time, not just as a vanity project. Her eyes widened. You're serious? Completely. You've learned more in the past month than most people learn in years. William cleared his throat. The board meeting needs to reconvene, shall we? As people filed back in, Lucia leaned over to whisper, Karma's a hell of a teacher. I watched Clara confidently present our next quarter projections to the board, saw the passion in her eyes when she talked about educational access, and remembered my mother's words about teaching being about more than lessons. No, I whispered back. Teachers are better than karma. We don't just punish mistakes. We help people learn from them. My phone lit up with another message, this time from Ramona. Ready for phase 2? I smiled, thinking of all the students still waiting to access quality education, of all the lives we could change. Ready, I typed back. Time to show the world what real educational revolution looks like. Guilty on all counts, the news anchor announced. Former CEO Mark Wade faces up to 20 years. I muted the TV in my office, watching Clara's reflection in the window as she processed the news. 6 months had passed since Mark's arrest, and today's verdict felt like the final chapter of a very long story. Are you okay? I asked. She turned from the screen, straightening her shoulders. I have a board meeting in 20 minutes. We're voting on the Southeast Asia expansion. That's not what I asked. I know. She sighed, dropping into a chair. He wanted me to testify on his behalf. Sent me a letter from jail last week. And I told him the truth would come out either way. She managed a weak smile. Like you taught me. My phone buzzed. William, stock's up 15% on the verdict. Press wants statements from both of you. Not today, I texted back. Lucia burst in, waving her tablet. Have you seen the user numbers? We just hit 70 million. The verdict news is driving signups through the roof. People love a redemption story, I said, watching Clara carefully. Is that what this is? Clara asked quietly. Redemption? Before I could answer, Ramona appeared in the doorway. Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here to see you both. My heart stopped when I saw who followed her in. Mark, in an expensive suit despite his recent incarceration, stood awkwardly in my office doorway. His lawyer hovered behind him. 5 minutes, the lawyer said. That's all we agreed to. Clara stood so quickly her chair toppled. What are you doing here? Out on bail pending appeal, Mark said, his voice rougher than I remembered. I wanted to manipulate us again, I suggested coolly. Or just to see the empire you lost. He flinched. I came to apologize. Right, Clara laughed bitterly. Because you're sorry you did it or sorry you got caught. Both. He moved further into the office, eyes taking in the awards on the walls, the global map showing our user base. You've built something remarkable here, both of you. No thanks to you, I said. I know. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. That's why I'm here. My appeal, I'm dropping it. Clara's breath caught. What? I'm pleading guilty. To everything. He placed the envelope on my desk, including what I did to the foundation. The restitution papers are in there, along with my confession. I didn't touch the envelope. Why now? Because I watched my daughter's TED Talk last week, the one about educational equality. His voice cracked. From my jail cell, I watched her explain how learning can transform lives, how everyone deserves a chance. He turned to Clara. You sounded just like your mother. Clara's eyes filled with tears. Dad. No, let me finish. He straightened his tie, a nervous gesture I remembered well. I thought business was about winning at any cost. But you two, you've proven there's another way, a better way. It's called integrity, I said quietly. Something you could have learned a long time ago. Yes. He stepped back toward the door. My lawyer has the rest of the paperwork. The offshore accounts, everything. Use it to help more students. Clara moved forward. How long? With the guilty plea? 12 years, maybe less with good behavior. He attempted a smile. Plenty of time to catch up on my reading. I'll visit, she said suddenly. Not right away, but someday. He nodded, eyes bright. I'd like that. After he left, Clara picked up the envelope with shaking hands. Did that really just happen? Open it, I suggested. Inside was everything he'd promised. Confession, restitution papers, account details, and something else, a handwritten note. Clara read it aloud. I never told you this, but your mother was a teacher. She believed education could change the world. I lost sight of that, lost sight of everything that mattered. But watching you two build this company, seeing how many lives you're changing, maybe she was right all along. Lucia wiped her eyes. Damn, maybe he did learn something. The hardest lessons, I said, thinking of my own journey, often come with the highest cost. My phone buzzed again. William. Asia partners are waiting. Should I delay the board meeting? Clara straightened, wiping her eyes. No, tell them we're coming. We have an expansion to approve. Are you sure? I asked. We can postpone? No. She smiled, and for the first time, I saw real peace in her expression. Dad's learning his lessons. Now it's time to help others learn theirs. As we walked to the boardroom, past walls covered with success stories from our users, I thought about karma, justice, and education, about how sometimes the biggest transformations come from the deepest wounds. Ready? I asked Clara as we reached the boardroom doors. She squared her shoulders. Ready to change more lives? Always. I smiled, thinking of all the students yet to reach, all the lessons yet to teach. Then let's get to work. And that's how Global Learning Access began, I concluded, looking out at the sea of eager faces in the university auditorium, with a betrayal that became a revolution. A student raised her hand. But weren't you afraid, going up against such powerful people? Of course, I smiled. But good teachers know that fear can be the best motivator. Speaking of good teachers, a familiar voice called from the back of the hall. Clara walked down the aisle, tablet in hand. Sorry to interrupt, but we just hit our 100 millionth user. The auditorium erupted in applause. I waited for it to die down before asking, which country? India, Clara grinned. A girl in Mumbai. She's already streaming her first calculus lesson. Another hand shot up. Ms. Clara, is it true you visit your father in prison? Clara's smile softened. I do. He tutors other inmates now, helping them earn their GEDs. Turns out teaching runs in the family. My phone buzzed. Lucia, turn on the news now. I pulled up the feed on the auditorium's main screen just as the announcement broke. Department of Education partners with Global Learning Access to provide free tutoring nationwide. More applause, but I was watching Clara. Her eyes shined with tears as she watched our dream become national policy. That's enough questions about the past, I said, turning back to the students. Let's talk about your future. Who here wants to change the world? Every hand went up. Good, I nodded, because that's today's real lesson. Success isn't about revenge or money or power. It's about impact. Like how you helped Ms. Clara, someone called out. No, Clara answered before I could. Like how she helped everyone, including people who didn't deserve it. After the lecture, we walked through campus together. Students stopped to take selfies, sharing stories about how our app had helped them or their siblings or friends. Dad asked about you yesterday, Clara said as we reached my car. He's reading your book. The one about educational inequality? That must be interesting for him. He says it's opening his eyes. Actually, she hesitated. He wants to contribute a chapter to the next edition, about learning the hard way. I considered this. Tell him to write it. We'll see. Really? Her phone chimed. Another notification about our user metrics. That's surprisingly forgiving of you. Not forgiving, I corrected. Teaching, there's a difference. William was waiting in my office when we arrived. The Department of Education deal is just the beginning, he announced. 5 more countries want to partner with us. And the foundation? I asked. Fully restored, he confirmed. Mark's restitution cleared the last of the debt. Plus, he slid a newspaper across my desk. This came out this morning. The headline read, Prison Education Program Shows Promising Results. Former CEO Leads Initiative. Clara picked it up. Dad did this? With a little help, Ramona said, entering with Lucia. I've been consulting with the Prison Education Board. Your father's program is actually impressive. Turns out revenge isn't nearly as satisfying as reformation, I mused. Speaking of satisfaction, Lucia grinned, wait until you see what just happened to our stock price. But I was watching Clara read the article about her father, seeing the mix of pride and pain on her face. Money was never the point, I said quietly. No, she agreed, looking up. The point was learning, growing, changing. My phone lit up with another message. From Mark this time, his first direct contact since the guilty plea. Thank you for teaching me what really matters. I showed it to Clara, who smiled through tears. Should I tell him you're considering his chapter for the book? Tell him to focus on his students first, I said. The story can wait. William cleared his throat. The press is waiting downstairs. They want statements about the Department of Education partnership. Let them wait, I said, pulling up our app's interface. The number of active users ticked up in real time, each number representing a life potentially changed. I want to watch this for a minute. We all gathered around my desk, watching the numbers climb. Each digit represented a victory not just over ignorance, but over the idea that education belonged only to the privileged few. To think, Clara murmured, this all started because of a betrayal at an anniversary party. No, I corrected gently. It started long before that, with a teacher who believed education could change the world. I thought of my mother, of all the lessons she'd taught me. We just needed the right motivation to prove it. The numbers kept climbing, a testament to what happens when revenge gives way to something greater, something that could actually change the world, one lesson at a time. Ready for the press? William asked. I looked at my unlikely family, Clara, Lucia, William, Ramona, and smiled. Ready to change more lives? Always. Together, we headed downstairs to share our story. Not a story of revenge or betrayal, but of transformation, of learning, of hope. After all, that's what the best teachers do. They turn endings into beginnings.